Okay, night seeing foliage. Now I've just got on normal because that seems to be better for, and the colours are probably more true to life when I'm walking with the wide angle then. I think so. I think that's what I'm gauging. Oh, there we go. I think that's a bit of regolith coming through. So in most of these areas we got some. The regolith is quite close to the surface sort of thing in these areas, or it appears to be anyway, if it is true regolith. But yeah, I think I'll just go home and as I said, that experiment I tried yesterday with the replacing the fructose or the high fructose syrup of the Coke, replacing it with sucrose, the normal household sugar, that didn't seem to pan out too well. Either that's because the there is a difference between fructose and sucrose on the osmolarity scale, or the data on the side of the cans of Coke is inaccurate. In other words, they're saying 40 grams to the basically to the can, or which works out to be 64 grams to the 600 mils sort of thing. That's not accurate. I don't know. Anyway, this morning before I set off and dropped my son off for uni, I set up a basically a 40 gram one. 4 spoons or 44 grams to the 600 mils basically, which works out to be basically twice the salt index osmolarity sort of thing of Diarrhea basically. So that's the way I'm trending it. I'm matching the salt index osmolarity turned into sugar sort of thing, you know, of Diarrhea. Whether the cake will survive on that, I don't know. If we have the same problems again, then, and also I cut the agar down to 2 heaped spoons, so if it goes hard again, that means there must be something in the Coke that stops the agar from setting properly. But if it's just about right now, well then there is some influence with the sugar, but there is a difference between fructose and sucrose in the influence of whether it sets or not. And from there then from this one on, I can either go left or right and find out where I'm going sort of thing. And because you know, Coke's cheap, but it's even cheaper to just use a packet of sugar. And I don't know why I'm using the sugar really, because sucrose can't enter the cell straight through the cell membrane, something like glucose can. I think we're basically just using it as a way of working out whether we've got sterility or not, because if you're you know, boom, you get an explosion of mould in there, you know you're not sterile. Maybe I should just leave the sugar out completely, or once we've worked out it is use the sugar as a gauge that it's working, then we leave it out. I don't know. I just can't see why we're really using the sugar. As I said before, I think yesterday, is the sugar just a way of forcing you to buy a laminar flow? Because you get contamination so quickly, you get so frustrated that you end up buying a very expensive laminar flow. I don't know. It's not logical. It can't go through the cell membrane unless it's when the plants produce roots and they get into it. Maybe that's what it is. You got to get to the root stage, and then the enzymes from the roots and things like that can actually transfer. Maybe it becomes an active process. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what it is, but I just can't see what the benefit is really. I can see the logic of, you know, because plants have sugars inside, their phloem and all that. It's a transport sugar, and sucrose is the most common transport sugar of all the 23 or so various transport sugars. Sucrose is the most common. I can see the logic there that, okay, since it's the most common, that will be the most likely one to use. It's cheap, easily available. You know, it comes from sugarcane, which is a monocot, blah blah blah, which are on the lower end. You got your baseline of your monocots, then you go to your dicots, which are supposed to be slightly more advanced, slightly more probably some, yeah. Phylogenists is laughing his head off with that phrase, slightly more advanced. Yeah, you know what I mean. I just Anyway, all I want to do is I want to crack an easy set and forget. Yeah, no, lot of mess, no fuss, you know. Rough as guts is the phrase I'm looking at. I want a rough as guts set and forget sort of thing where you just cut the bloody stuff up, you drop it in with your bare fingers and put the lid on, and then all the rest of the work is done for you by the formulation and where you stick it, I suppose. Yeah, where you stick it. People laughing at that one. But yeah, anyway, it's a long chatty thing, but yeah. Because that's why I want to get to the stage where you can just get a dining leaf, chop it into about 10 bits, and you got 10 plants to play with, sort of thing, you know. And maybe those 10 plants that you grow on in the you can chop into 2 or something like that. And then so you go like, you know, 1 leaf, 10, and then wait a month, and then you chop all those 10 pieces into 2 or 4, and you got 20 or 80 plants. You know, I could do that. You know, that would be acceptable for me. Like, you get 1 leaf and you end up with 80 to 100 plants. So basically 10 leaves of a standard plant, you could end up with 1,000. And you know, 10 leaves, 10 pots in a week, 1,000. You know that week is transferred into like a month later or 2 months later. You could see how you go from. Yeah, I could see that would be a reasonable amount of work to do. It would work if you could have an easy, no fuss, no mess, rough as guts, guaranteed to work reasonably well. You know, 99%. You know, maybe you get the occasional one that goes wonky or something like that, which you could probably work on or something like that. But something like that, where you know you're not worrying about that it's not going to work, and you're not worrying with all this hassle. And they can work on basically anything, you know, anything. You can also test anything that way too, you know. You can start playing around with things, you know, and eventually you start working on things that other people have never even considered, because it was just either too much of a hassle, too much hard work sort of thing, too messy, too time involved. What's the word? Time dependent. What's the phrase? Time intensive. Yeah. So you know. And then you can start. Then you also once you've got that, you can have a little pocket money on the side. You can also, you've got cannon fodder plants you can run through either yourself or to someone else wants some cannon fodder plants. You can say, well, I'll do your deals or the, you know, what you got. You got any banana forms? I'm really mad about bananas. But bananas, I keep saying bananas for some reason. I'm mad about bananas. I would be wannabe Queensland. I'm not mad about bananas. No, I don't know, but yeah. Anyway, we'll see how we go. But it's a bit of a long yarn, a long rant. Yeah. Anyway, go home, have a coffee, and cut up a cape and shove it in, I think, and we'll see how we go. You know, the results will be back in within 12 hours. Whether it's going to be a different, you know. Yeah, those as I said, the tentacle heads, the tentacles and the tentacle heads on the cape, fantastic for giving you data points back in about 12 hours. You know, do they stay healthy or do they go black? You know, if they go black, you just got it too strong, or something's gone wrong. They give you a rhyme, but anyway, we'll see how we go. And yeah, I suppose next week it'll be Cox's Scrub, and that might actually be the Christmas, late Christmas in July clip that's gone totally skew riff. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, time to shut the camera off, I think. Okay, over and out.